If you're like most ambitious people between 25 and 45 watching this right now, you've probably felt that quiet fear. Commercial real estate feels completely out of reach. You think you need hundreds of thousands of dollars, perfect credit, and years of experience before you can ever own a piece of it. But last year, a regular dad named John quietly bought a small commercial warehouse for just $50,000. And every single month, like clockwork, that building mails him a check for $463. Rain or shine, whether the stock market is up or down. John is not a millionaire. He works a regular job, has a family, and drives the same 10-year-old truck you probably see every day. Yet he now owns a real income-producing commercial property that puts money in his pocket every month with almost no daily work. Today I'm going to walk you through exactly how he did it, step by step, so you can start seeing commercial real estate the same way professional investors do, and begin moving toward the financial freedom and passive income you've been wanting. Here's the problem almost every new investor runs into. When you look at commercial real estate, you see giant apartment buildings, busy shopping centers, and price tags that start with $1 million. Banks want 25 or 30% down. The deals feel complicated. And everything on the internet makes you feel like you already need to be rich just to get started. So most people stay on the sidelines, watching their savings lose value to inflation while waiting for the perfect time that never comes. But John found the simple truth most people miss. Commercial real estate is not really about owning fancy buildings. It is about owning steady income streams that tenants pay you every single month. Income you can actually control and grow yourself. Let me show you exactly what happened. John was driving through a quiet industrial park on the edge of his city when he noticed a small warehouse with a "For Sale by Owner" sign. It was only about 2,000 square feet, nothing flashy. Just a clean metal building with one loading door and a small office in front. The seller was a retiring contractor who no longer needed the space. John did not have hundreds of thousands sitting in the bank, but he had saved about $12,000 for a down payment, and he knew how to run simple numbers. He sat in his truck, pulled out a notepad, and wrote down 3 things: what the current tenant was paying, what the property taxes and insurance cost, and what basic maintenance might run. The numbers worked. He made a low offer. The seller accepted, and they closed 30 days later with a small bank loan plus seller financing for part of the price. Everyone at John's barbecue that weekend told him he was crazy. What if the tenant leaves? They asked. But here is where things get interesting. Commercial real estate is valued based on income, not on what the house next door sold for. Imagine the property as a simple cash bucket you own. Every month, the tenant pours rent into the top of the bucket. A few predictable expenses, taxes, insurance, maybe a little maintenance, drain out the bottom. Whatever stays inside the bucket is yours. In John's case, that net income is $5,556 a year, which is about 11% of his $50,000 purchase price. Professional investors call this the capitalization rate, or cap rate. A higher cap rate on a smaller, well-leased building often gives you stronger cash flow than a bigger, more expensive property with thinner margins. But the part most beginners never realize is this. John did not buy the building hoping the price would magically go up. He bought the income machine that already existed inside it. That is the professional mindset. And it is the same mindset that can give you real control over your financial future instead of waiting for the next stock market crash or inflation spike. Remember when everyone worried the tenant might leave? That is a fair fear. Here is exactly how John solved it. He chose a property in an area with growing small business demand. The moving company needs the warehouse for storage and trucks. No fancy location required. Leases in this type of building tend to be longer and more stable than in retail. Let me give you one more quick real-world example so you see the pattern. A friend of mine bought a similar small warehouse, about the same size, for $48,000 2 years ago. The tenant is a local HVAC contractor. Same simple math. Steady rent, low expenses, net cash flow of about $420 a month. Both properties are still producing income today. So how do you actually do this yourself? Here are the 4 steps professional investors follow when buying small commercial properties like John's. Step 1, pick one simple property type: warehouses, small retail units, or single-tenant office buildings, and study it until you can spot a good deal in under 5 minutes. Step 2. Learn to read the income. Pull the rent roll, add up the monthly rent, subtract the known expenses, and calculate the cap rate on the spot. If the numbers give you at least an 8 to 10% cap rate on a stable tenant, the deal probably makes sense. Step 3. Use creative financing. Banks will often lend 70 to 75% on small commercial buildings. Many sellers will carry back a second mortgage for part of the price, exactly as John's seller did. Step 4. Keep the income safe. Screen tenants carefully, get longer leases, and set aside a small repair reserve every month. At the beginning of this video, most people look at a $50,000 warehouse and think, too small or too risky. John saw a cash bucket that produces $463 every single month with almost no daily work. Commercial real estate is not reserved for the rich. It is reserved for people who learn to think about the income first and the building second. Once you start looking at properties this way, you begin noticing opportunities that most investors walk right past. Opportunities that can give you the passive income and time freedom you've been working so hard for. So here is your simple action step this week. Open any commercial listing site in your city, find one small warehouse or retail unit under $100,000, and run the numbers exactly the way I showed you on the whiteboard. You will be amazed at how quickly the math starts to make sense and how real this can feel for you. John is not special. He just learned the same lesson professional investors have known for decades. The money is in the income, not in the price tag. Thanks for watching. If this video helped you see commercial real estate differently and gave you real hope for your own financial future, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one, where we will break down how to find your first tenant and keep that cash flow running for years.